Coming from their home studio, straight into your ear hole. You are now listening to As I Live and Bree with Liv Matthews and Jay Jansen.
Welcome back, guys, all our Bree livers out there. This is Liv Matthews.
And this is Jay Jansen. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Good news. Our podcast equipment came in from Amazon finally, and I think it sounds good.
I think it sounds good, too. The only thing that is really different is this week, I can actually hear myself in my headphones that I didn't have prior to that. So it's a little bit of adjustment to kind of hear myself talk back and forth.
Yeah, because I'm cheap. I was the only one that had the headphones. I didn't share.
Well, realistically speaking, I don't think I like my own voice as far as, do you have that problem? Do you
I can't stand it. The whole first couple episodes we did, I was just like, ooh, it is what it is. I can't change my voice.
Well, no, obviously I can't either. I find that like when I hear myself on recording, to me, without the headphones in my ear, obviously, I don't feel like I sound like that. Obviously I do.
Yeah. Like I thought that I didn't really sound like a country bumpkin, but every once in a while I'll hear that country twang come out. It drives me a little crazy. Because, I think most people, from what I've read, they think that people from the South
are uneducated.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. It's a total like typical stereotype. For the longest time, I worked in the fire protection industry, and my whole entire customer base was in the Northeast. And so and being from, I'm not originally from where we live now. I'm originally from Tennessee. And the place that I'm from in Tennessee, there is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? They have a very distinct like accent there.
Right.
They draw things out. They carry the, they carry the I longer than they should, things like that. I mean, I could pick the dialect up just on the phone to someone I've never met before. It's that distinct. So for years, I really tried really hard to lose that aspect of my speech pattern, especially in this fire protection industry and dealing with all the customers in the Northeast, because people legitimately would question my knowledge all the time because of my accent.
Right.
And so I tried to lose it. And then the more as life went on, like I just was like, you know what, I'm from where I am, and I speak how I speak, but that doesn't make me any less intelligent. But now in the industry that I'm in, I talk to people all over the world, and they'll ask me like, are you from the South? Yes. Yes, absolutely I am. You can hear it straight through my voice every day. It doesn't matter what kind of science or scientific shit I'm talking about. Like
Nothing
hear it.
gets by you, ma'am or sir.
Exactly. So it's definitely like different.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I used to do the same when I first moved because, I was born in West Virginia. I never told anybody.
No, you always told everybody you were from up north.
Yes, I would just say up north, which is north of the state that we live in. It was not a lie, but I just did. There's so many stereotypes. People would say like, oh, your family tree doesn't fork. And I'd be like, yeah, it forks a little.
It forks a little bit. Yes, it does. You guys do have like the distinct dialect also. There were words that you used that I remember like growing up, I always gave you straight up hell about. Like instead of sitting in a row, R-O-W, you sat in a roll. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? A roll?
I don't think that had anything to do with West Virginia per se. It was just the fact that I was uneducated.
Oh, you thought that that's really what it was called?
I thought it was called that. I didn't know there was a difference between a row and a roll. They were all the same.
Well, my little takeaway from where I'm from in Tennessee was when we started living here and I had gotten older, of course, people call them wasps here.
Yeah.
The bees. Well, in Tennessee, they call them waspers. And so I was like, are you going to kill that wasper? And somebody was like, what the fuck is a wasper? And I was like, the bee, man.
Right.
No, honey, those are a wasp. No waspers. But it came from there being more than one wasp. They would call them waspers.
That's adorable.
It's not adorable. It's not. It's not when you do things like that because people are like, huh? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like, a creek.
A crick.
Yeah, a crick. My dad, bless him, he used to say instead of ear, he would just say year, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm itching my year.
Your year. That's a long time, bud.
Right. That's a real long time. I don't think that's your ear.
Right.
Or instead of saying leg, he would say lag. I'm not a great speller, but I'm pretty sure that leg is not spelled L-A-G.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of different like country little things like that in the areas in these communities and things that people don't realize they don't translate over.
Right. And I mean, like just simple things like when I moved down here, we used to say for like soda or drink, which is what we use, for now for like I need a Diet Pepsi. I would say, I need a Diet Pepsi, or I'd say a soda or a drink. Up there, it would be pop.
So that's a northern thing.
Well, consider I'm not really from the north. I'm just northerner,
Northerner.
Yeah. Like it's really only like a state away. But yeah, like I just, nobody understood what I was talking about. Just like when I lived up there, everybody says hello. I moved down here, everybody says hey. I mean, they say hello sometimes too, but
it's more hey.
Yeah, it was just hey girl, hey, but it would always be hello.
Well, if anybody hits me with a hello or a hi now, I'm like, huh?
Right. You're just, why are you being so formal?
Yeah, why are you being so formal? Like, we ain't gonna write, we ain't gonna do no damn English paper at this moment or what have you, or some kind of professional transcript. No, it's just, hey, what's up?
Oh my goodness. But overall, how's your week been going?
You know, my weeks are pretty busy and pretty tied down these days. I mean, the company that I work for, we're definitely launching some new products and things of that nature. So we're going to be pretty revolutionary in the market. And
so that's exciting.
It is very exciting. We're actually opening up our first location in West Virginia. So that's definitely, and it's actually grown from one location to now we're going to build 4 there.
Wow.
Right. So we're really growing it out very rapidly. Definitely looking at some other areas to launch in the United States. It's going to be a busy year for me. So my life is sort of crazy.
But you're still going to do the podcast.
I'm absolutely still going to do the podcast. Right, you guys are fucking stuck with me right now.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. So we've got new equipment and we've even gotten really classy where I can actually call in from wherever I'm at on location and actually be on the podcast. So you guys are not going to lose me.
Excited. I tried to talk her into cold calling somebody today and having them on the podcast. She said that was a little rude. She's not wrong, but I just thought it would be funny.
It probably would be funny, but we had kind of ran through the whole scenario that like we would do that, you know, to someone who follows our podcast religiously. And then I was like, well, then we'd have to like give them something for, you know, being the fan that they are. And
my goodness, that's a great idea, though. If any of you guys want to be on the podcast, send us a message through our social media at asiliveandbree.com. Send us a message through there. We'll call you.
We will call you and we'll have you on the podcast and you can be a formal Bree liver at that point.
Oh my goodness, that would be so fun. I'm excited.
I'm super excited too. This technology is definitely something different that we didn't have prior to now. So
yeah, but I mean, I'm loving it though. And it turns out I am not real IT-techy. You know, I don't know anything about IT, but thank goodness for YouTube videos because I have really counted on them lately.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I know about IT is whenever you call your IT department, they have absolutely no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Half the time.
Half the time. It's like, how are you in IT and you have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about?
Right. Well, you know, being in the medical field, the electronical medical records that we use, I said electronical. Is
electronical medicals. Shit, that's a lot.
I know. That's a real version of it. But no, the EMRs, every time I call the IT people, they're supposed to be specialists in this. And it might just be me not explaining it correctly. They're just like, ma'am, I have no idea. Because I'll be like, well, I clicked on the file thingy and this happened. You know, you're right for the most part. Eventually they figure it out and we can get everything back on track.
No, I've not really realistically had great experience with those. I've always worked for corporations where their IT was off-site. So, you know, at a corporate office or something like that. I don't know why that businesses have kind of went to that forum or what have you. But I mean, I get it. It's
probably cheaper to outsource, don't you think?
Well, no, it's not that they're outsourced. They're actually physically at the company. They're just at the corporate office and nowhere else.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Right. So, you know, I've worked at a couple of companies like that where they had that whole setup. And so they'll call you and you'll be going over problems or what have you. Or they'll call you to fix something that they've done with the system. And realistically speaking, every time that they get on your machine, they fuck up everything. So one of the guys that I dealt with another company called me. He was in Boston, Massachusetts. Love their accent. Speaking of accents. And so he was like, hey, I need to jump on your machine for a little bit. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Just don't fuck with my porn.
Right.
And he legitimately sat on, because I have a way with, I don't care who you are. I'm going to drop something inappropriate or something funny.
I mean, that's hilarious though. I did the same joke to the IT person at work.
They don't find it funny though.
I know. I really think that they're being for real. Maybe they have seen some stuff, but they were just like, is there anything that you need saved on there? And I was like, yeah, definitely don't delete my porn. I mean, clearly I do not watch porn.
Right. Not at work.
Right. You know, but yeah, they were just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, like they get really weird about it. And I was like, dude, I'm just kidding. There's no porn on my work computer, okay? But yeah, he sat there
I hate when you have to explain a joke.
I know. Like that takes away the whole fucking part of the joke. Like just be like, ha ha ha, okay.
Right. And I've had to do it quite frequently lately. And I'm just like, I just don't even know why.
I think that like true IT people, and I'm not really cutting anybody off at the knees, but I think they're analytical thinkers. And so they don't think like we do.
That's probably true. They're probably like very not task oriented. Of course they can critically think, but they're probably thinking more about the computer and stuff. And they're not thinking these two crazy gals are, you know, going to make a porn joke.
Right. Right. So it's
Or they've heard it 58 times and they just don't think it's funny.
that's probably it. We're probably not the only two people who have ever told him, do not delete my porn.
Right.
Yeah, so we're probably not funny or fucking original, apparently.
Yeah, clearly both of us has done it and we hadn't discussed it before. So everybody does it.
I guess so. Or we're just really two weird broads.
Yeah. Well, I was at dinner last night with my mother, and it was my mother, my husband, and my two children, and we're all just talking or whatever, just my regular, speech. I mean, I'm not.
Let me actually interrupt the podcast just for a moment to tell all of our listeners that today is actually Liv and her husband's anniversary. So, yay! Happy anniversary, everybody!
Yes. Today is our anniversary, so we went out to celebrate a little early. So, because we knew that it was going to be busier on the weekends. We're at the Olive Garden.
The Olive Garden.
Yeah, so we're eating our endless soup and salad.
Endless soup and salad. That is some good shit.
It really is.
It is.
Well, actually, you're the one who turned me on to their salad dressing, and I have it in the house constantly.
Constantly on the regular, yeah.
Yes.
I've got a new one for you that you should try, though.
Oh.
Apparently, the Christos, our local restaurant.
Love their ranch.
Love their ranch. But apparently, their other dressings are actually just like a store brand.
Oh.
Found that out from someone who worked there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I absolutely love their Greek dressing, their Greek vinaigrette. I don't typically like stuff like that, but I've found that I really like that one.
Yeah, because I was going to say that does not sound appealing to me at all, but
it really, I didn't think it would be for me either, but it really was. So anyway, it ends up being a branded name that you can buy in the grocery store, Ken's, and I'm like, damn it.
Well,
all this time,
the Ken's Thousand sometimes, and the Ken's Ranch sometimes.
They do have a very great line, but that was just funny to me because that's legitimately the only reason why I go to that restaurant anymore is for a salad with that dressing. And so all this time I could just get it anywhere else.
Oh, well, that works out. Looks like we're going to the old food line in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll check out the food town. That's what it used to be.
Everybody used to call it food dog.
Food dog. It does kind of look like a dog.
It does. It doesn't really look like a lion.
The logo doesn't look like a lion at all.
But as I'm sitting at this dinner with my mom and the family, she looks over to me and says, Liv, can I ask you a question? Well, if you know my mom, and you do,
I do.
You just know.
Whatever's coming next is not a good thing.
Right. And so she says, do you always use so much profanity? Ma'am, I mean, if you hadn't known me, I'm like, you've known me my whole life. Yes, I do. Well, do you use it with your patient? Clearly, I do not cuss my patients out.
There is a very fine line. I'm a very big user of the profanity as well.
Yeah,
and in a professional environment, it doesn't work. In an office setting, sometimes it does. Like sometimes we say things.
Yeah, if I'm talking to a coworker, I may say like, "Oh, what the hell?" or "That dude's being an asshole." But clearly, I would never tell my patient any profanity or anything like that. There's a professional relationship that you have to have. But when you're eating with your own family, you should be kind of free. And I get it. There's probably some listeners out there like, "Oh my goodness, you cursed in front of your mother?" Yes. If you met this lady, you would know that this is only a recent thing for her, that she has found religion and has stopped cursing. But now she wants to project all of her feelings and life beliefs onto me, which I have never been a fan of that. If you feel a certain way about whatever you feel about, that is okay. Feel that way.
Right. Don't impose your own beliefs and things like that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I was a little hangry. So I just leaned over to her and was like, ma'am, how many times have we had this discussion? If you feel that profanity is wrong, then don't do it. However, the fact that I feel that it is fine, and guys, it's not like I was like cursing up a storm at this Olive Garden and everything. I mean, clearly I'm with my kids, but did I say one or two in this whole conversation? Yes, I'm sure I did.
I think that's just like a normal thing. Like I may be, even in front of my kids, like I try to watch what I say, especially because I've got the younger one, but like I might say, well, shit, or damn, that da-da-da-da-da, whatever. So, I mean, I think it just kind of flows out. I don't think that you were blatantly being disrespectful. It ain't like you were like, hey, bitch, listen here.
Right. No, definitely not. But, she just was on her moral, high horse that day and then she wanted to backtrack and be like, oh, no, I'm not saying anything. I mean, that's fine.
You were saying something because you verbalized it. You were actually saying something.
Right. And I said, honey, I am a grown woman. I said, with a family. And I realized that you don't particularly like to say profanity anymore. However, I did grow up with you. And for the first 5 or 6 years of my life, I legit thought that my name was Hey Little little bitch.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
But that's a true story.
I got a couple of damn it Jays, you know. So.
Yeah, damn it, Jay.
Yeah, so I thought that might be part of my name at some point in time. But
I was just like, oh my goodness. But bless her heart. Good for her for finding religion and trying to take the moral high road. I appreciate that. Just don't ever impose it on to me, because I would never impose my beliefs onto you.
I really think that that's like found in my life, that when people find religion that never had it before or what have you, they go through that kind of stage. But I think it's a real fine line with, or any life change that you want to make. You know, I think respecting that you've made that change about yourself. It's kind of like if you decide to stop drinking and you go to the bar and then preach at everybody because they're drinking. You put yourself in that environment.
Right. It's the same thing. Like, I've been around smokers before, and then they have stopped smoking, but then say they attend like a barbecue or something and somebody's smoking there, and they're over there swaying their hand in front of their nose saying, oh, that stinks. That stinks.
It does, though. I'm the worst non-smoker coming from being a smoker. Like, I have those things. But you know what? I don't run my mouth about it. I just remove myself from the situation.
That's my whole point.
Right.
Is, you know, if you know you don't like the smell of it, I don't like the smell of it, it's fine. Just walk away.
Just walk away.
You don't have to announce it and then be like waving your hand underneath your nose and making a big deal about it, making somebody feel bad just because you chose to change your ways. And I thought of something very poignant that I saw earlier this week. And essentially it was saying that all these traumas in our lives and the devices that we take on are essentially coping mechanisms. I think most of us knew that.
I think so too. I think we all have drinking, some form, fashion of coping mechanism.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, like for me, it's eating. I have always ate my feelings. When I was a small child, I remember hiding in between the washer and the dryer with a peanut butter jelly sandwich that I made really, really quick and just shoving it in my mouth really quickly. And that became a thing for me through my life. That is my comfort. That is how I cope with my anxiety. And I thought it was just so great. The way that they put it was essentially that if you didn't have those coping mechanisms, then you could be dead. You could have committed suicide. You could have made another choice. And so we should be grateful for these devices in our life. We're not saying not to change it, but you should be grateful for them because essentially they have saved your life in one way or another.
I agree with that to some degree. Well, completely actually. But I found myself these last few years as a coping mechanism for stress. I consume alcohol a little bit more than I used to. Mm-hmm. You know, for years and years, I may have a drink here or there, but you know, my alcohol consumption for the year would probably be less than 3 or 4 drinks, whereas now it's 3 or 4 drinks a week sometimes, and sometimes a little bit more. I've definitely cut back. I did scale it up a whole lot there for a while, but you know, for me, that was my way to cope with stress. Just like smoking for me is a way to cope with stress. I do that so I don't have to take medication for being stressed out or, you know, some sort of mood stabilizer or what have you, or a fast acting like anxiety thing or what have you. Like I do those things so I don't have to do that.
But I just thought that so many times that we look at drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, overeating, all these vices, gambling, you name it, and we look at it in such a harsh manner. But I just thought it was so wonderful that they spun it and said, even though you need to change these, that they're not good for the long haul, but you should be thankful
that you had that to fall back on as a comfort zone.
Exactly.
Well, I think that some of them are a lot more taboo than others. Obviously, people who, you know, are drug addicts and things like that, that's not viewed as still as the same as the girl who eats Ho-Hos to cope with things, or the person who occasionally has a drink, as long as they're not a full-fledged alcoholic, and things that, you know, who acts out and shows out. You know, obviously, some alcoholics are acceptable because they don't do anything, but nobody really knows that other than they're drunk, that they don't really cause any kind of commotion when they are drinking, or, you know, they don't have an attitude, or some people are just chill, you know?
Functional alcoholics.
Right. So I think where the taboo falls in is where people use those things, kind of like I said, you know, to self-medicate. You know, people using drugs to self-medicate for mental illnesses and things like that. It just never is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I really do wish that our mental health system was a little better. I don't think that there's enough resources out there.
There's not enough resources, and they're very expensive. I think actively as a country, we could probably do a whole lot better. One of my major things that I support and will donate to and do fundraisers and things of that nature is the 21 a Day, which is our veterans and how they're affected when they're reintroduced into society.
I agree 100%. Do you remember when the people came to school and we almost joined the military?
Yeah. So these Navy recruiters came into our classroom, and so they were telling us all about the Navy. And it was, I think it was realistically our junior or senior year of high school, because they do all those things. testings. You take the ASVAB and all these testings and things like that. And, you get, do you want to go to college? Do you want to go to the military? I think it was a lot more push, when we were in high school than it is now. But maybe they still do that. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it was really kind of pushed, though.
It really was very pushed at that point in time. But at that point in time, we had just, God, I'm going to date myself when I say this. We were at war with another country at that point in time. So I'm not going to tell you which one. But
it was World War One.
It was not World War One or Two, but we very much thought that it might be 3. But anyway, so they come to tell us all about the Navy and how great and fabulous it was. And I will be honest, I kind of entertained the Navy for a little bit.
I entertained it a little bit as well until a follow-up phone call. But let's finish this little story and I'll tell you about my follow-up phone call.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, Liv that day had decided that we were going to have alter egos throughout the day. She and I were the most in school. We were always jokesters, pulling pranks on our friends and things of that nature. Like, we enjoyed life and we like to have fun and laugh and things like that. So we were always both like the class clown.
Yeah, because like Spirit Week, they had, I don't remember what it was, but you remember I did my makeup all like I'd gotten a car wrecked. I really did the most. It wasn't even close to Halloween, but I did the most and ripped my shirt up because we spray painted it in your basement and I wore like pajama pants. But I went to the gas station that is like right there beside the school, went to the gas station and the clerk was all like, oh, you want me to call 911? And I was all like, oh my goodness, why? Like, I'm looking around because I had forgotten. I'd been wearing this makeup all day. And then, I'm so sorry, because I had teased my hair out. I looked a hot mess. But yeah, they legit was going to call 911. They thought I just got in a wreck. But yeah, we were always doing the most. So we had decided.
Yeah, one day I had a towel in the cafeteria. I think we were freshmen at this point, which is probably not very something that a freshman should do. But I threw the towel over my shoulders and thought that it would be funny that...
she ran around the whole cafeteria screaming like she's a superhero saying, I'm the masturbator.
It sounds like a superhero's name.
It does. And I thought that was hilarious. You think about it. That could have been bad for her, but everybody thought it was so freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I just embraced like life's taboos at that point. You know what I mean? The things that you didn't talk about, I've always been that one like, yes, let's talk about that.
Yes, let's talk about it. And I've always been like right there with her, like, yes.
Yeah, encouraging it. Yeah. Every single bit. So anyway, we decided that we were going to have alter egos that day. So she had these little name tags that go on the like the navy blue work shirts that like mechanics and their wore. And so she was Bud and I was Buster.
And so I had just bought these and I had brought them. It's like, check these out. I just thought that was funny. And she's like, no, we are definitely putting these on our shirts. So we sewed them onto our shirt.
Yes.
And legit wore them to this.
Yeah. So we antagonized these 2 Navy recruiters for the better part of the hour-and-a-half block session that we had in this class. So, everyone had laughs, what have you. But the funny thing was about this whole scenario is I was dating an older guy in high school who was clearly graduated from high school. And so I'm at his house and he is going into the Navy. Well, I walked downstairs from his room because his recruiters were there. And legitimately, it's these 2 yahoos that I had tortured. So I'm like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh, yeah, we know you. You're Buster, right? And I was like,
oh, no.
Yeah, that's me, Buster.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So he's looking confused. And at that point in time, dating an older guy was probably like reining it in and, not trying to be too crazy with how I acted around him. He couldn't see me at full pull. You don't know everything that you're getting. Of course, now I'm not that way anymore, but you get me from second one. But yeah, so he was looking at me like, what in the hell are they talking about? And I was like, no, I'll explain later.
I love it. Buster.
Yeah, Buster and Bud.
Oh my goodness. Well, I got a return phone call a couple weeks later after we had already talked to these guys for like an hour and a half or whatever. And so they were just like, you did really well on your ASVAB. I think they were just calling a lot of people, whoever, I guess.
Oh yeah. That's their plug. That's what they do.
Yeah. And so they're just like, oh, you did really well on that ASVAB. And we think that, the Navy would be great to have you, and just going on and on. Well, then I start asking the important questions, what's important to me. So I was like, you do remember that I'm a bigger girl? And they were like, yeah. That's fun. And I was like, so what do you do about that? Because I'm sure that there's some type of like physical education.
There's physical requirements to actually get into.
I see like basic training sort of thing. That's what I'm basing this on, because clearly I've never known anybody closely that's been in the military. So I was just like, what are we going to do here? Okay, y'all going to have me doing like chin ups and running 58 miles? Essentially, he was like, yeah. And he said that weight will drop quickly. He said, plus, and then this was the kicker. I was okay with the exercise. And he said, but they'll also put you on a ration. And so essentially, I'm going to be like on salad and grilled chicken like I should eat, but clearly that's not what I eat.
Right.
And I was all like, that is great. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for the call, but it's a no for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hang up because every once in a while, girl, gonna need a piece of pie.
Right. It's a no for me on every level. You're gonna like exercise me to death and I still can't eat.
And I'm starving, which is gonna make me hangry. So I'm gonna Hulk out in the Navy. That would not be good.
That would be, oh my goodness.
My deterrent for the Navy, and obviously you know that I grew up in military homes and things like that. So I was sort of a typical military brat, I guess, a little bit ish.
Yeah.
And then I, of course, married military over the course of my 2 marriages, and then probably dated every service.
Yeah. She's services.
I service the military. Thank you. No, I do not. I'm not a whore, but a whore. I'm not a whore, but I have, in fact, had several long relationships with various portions of the military.
I don't think that I've done anybody that's been in the military.
Well, you don't like the structure.
I don't.
No, you don't. I also, at this point in time in my life, do not.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah, I needed it probably back then because I was a little not structured, I guess would be the word.
I was going to say extra.
I was extra. I've been extra most of my life. I'm still extra to this day. I think now that I've just kind of socially been able to hone in my extraness.
I mean, I think that that's another one of the things that I love about you. I like your openness.
I like your open penis. Thank you.
Ew, do you know what? I was at work the other day.
Oh, God. There's a story. There's always a story.
And this lady was telling me that she was working in urology, and this guy came in with a bifurcated penis.
And what does that mean for people who do not know what a bifurcated penis is?
So you think bi as bicycle as 2 wheels, right? So bifurcated, he essentially has bifurcated his penis. He's cut it in half.
What the fuck?
He's filleted it open, but he's done this over a period of like 13 years.
Oh my God.
I know the dedication. I'm all for it.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not messing with my lady parts.
No, I mean, could you imagine just periodically just slicing down?
No, I cannot.
Each side. And so the reason why he came in was not because of the bifurcation. He meant to do that. But the problem is that now when he
split his urethra?
Yes. So yeah. So it's split. And so when he pees, because there's a portion of it still intact.
Does it go off like a sprinkler?
It does. That's why he's in. That's why he came into for the appointment.
Well, you've got to fucking know that would happen.
You would think. But
and what was the purpose? Did anybody find out the purposes behind why he slashed his penis in half?
No. I mean, clearly.
I would have to fucking know. This is probably why I'm not in the medical field.
They did ask, but I don't think that he could give them an intellectual answer. I mean, clearly there's some psych issues.
Clearly, you've cut your penis in half.
Yeah. And so what they did, the whole reason why he came in was because every time he went to urinate, he just sprayed all over the place and it was starting to be messy. I'm just like, oh, the fact that your penis is filleted open, laying to 2 sides, and that's not the problem. But no, it's just the fact that it gets all over the place.
That's like cutting off your leg and wondering why the fuck you can't walk anymore.
Kinda. I mean, clearly, like I said, psych issues. However, do you know what they did for the fella?
What?
They ended up taking him to surgery and they chopped the rest of his penis off.
Oh my God.
Because, this has been over 13 years, so there's no way that...
Well, clearly he wasn't using it anyway. I was really upset for him for that regard, but no, he wasn't using it. He don't need it.
No. So what they did was they rerouted the urethra through to what you would call, most people, the
Does
perineal.
He have to sit down to pee now?
He does, yeah.
I can see it.
And so right there between the butthole and the ball sack, the testicles, we call them the perineum.
Taint.
Yes, the taint area. They made a hole there, and that's where he pees. They rerouted the urethra through there, which I thought was amazing for him.
Do they do that when they do sex reconsignment surgery too, sort of?
I don't think so. I think that of course they
wouldn't have to okay, never mind. Yeah. I don't really need to know that process. It just had a thought like, that might be what they do then. That's why but no, not at all.
I love drag queens. And the first time that and this was years ago, because I was always wondering, how do they get everything tucked? If they still have the parts, how do they get everything tucked? And so I asked a drag queen because
you will ask.
Yes, yeah. I mean, of course, respectfully, I was just like, you look freaking amazing. I do not know how you are wearing a thong. And I mean, yes, queen. I'm talking about.
Right.
I mean, these ladies look way better than I will ever freaking look.
Oh, hands down.
And I was born this way. So I just, hands up, claps, big, just love it. So I had asked, and they were so gracious. They were so gracious to give me the answer. And essentially they said that the cavity that your testicles drop from as a kid is essentially still there. So they push up the testicles into that cavity, pull the penis back, towards their butthole, and then you can either take tape, or you can also wear like these kind of like a Spanx material called a gaff.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So
If I ever need to
asked,
tuck it, I'll absolutely.
well, I kind of wish that I could tuck my, my mom's pubis, my fupa.
The FOPA.
But, anyway.
That was probably a bit much for our listeners.
I know all of our listeners are like,
Yep. What the fuck? I threw up in my mouth 3 times today during your episode. 3 times.
Do you remember that time that guy, he used to do pranks all the time. He would call and do like, jokester stuff. And we were at the house and he calls Burger King and he's like, listen, my wife and my kids was here. We come by and we got this like the Happy Meals and the shit and stuff. And
A tree of true times.
a tree of 2 times all over my damn wife and kids. And I mean, he's just going on and on. He did it so much better than that. But anyway.
Was it the Jerky Boys that we were listening to? With
Yeah,
that? They were funny back in the day.
Yeah, so I think he was taking inspiration from there. But yeah, he was just going off. And you just hear that guy from the Burger King. And they were just all like, oh my goodness, that sounds horrible. We'll just come by and get you. I don't want no more of that damn food. You done threw up all over my kids.
Yeah, done threw up all over my wife and kids. I don't want any more of your damn food.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty fun. I could imagine being on the other end of that phone call, though.
Oh, I mean, I can.
Everybody would have heard about it in my life, though. Like, here's my
That's what
crazy
I'm
day.
saying. Because, there's sometimes I get calls from patients and they tell me some random stuff and I love it. I live for it. And I'll just listen. I'll even kind of egg it on like, oh my goodness. And then what'd you do?
Yeah, I also have those type of, I think that there's a flash sign on my forehead that I physically can't see that says, come to me and tell me all the inappropriate things in your life. Because legitimately speaking, I will be standing in the grocery store line or Walmart line, checkout line, what have you, and people will randomly seek me out to tell me all about shit that I would not tell anyone.
Yes.
And my daughter's even called me out on it before. She's like, Mom, the most random things happen to you and people tell you some things that like, I can't believe they're even telling you this stuff when I'm sitting here listening to them. And I'm like, girl, me neither. And I don't know what happens, but it just does.
I thought it was like my face. But now that, COVID happened and we all wear masks, it's got to be my eyes. Do I have like eyeballs that attract crazy?
Well, they do this with you over the phone. So maybe we just have a soothing aura or our personality soothes.
I mean, the truth is, you could tell me anything. You could tell me that you killed somebody. You can tell me whatever it is. And I'll just be all like, wow. And then what?
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have that about you.
And you're the same way. So, I mean, I feel like maybe we just exude
We're very
that.
Non-judgmental.
Because Lord knows I have never been an angel. I really do try to take the moral high road, but Lord knows.
Sometimes I feel in that regard as well.
Yeah. And I think people are just like that. I mean, nobody's perfect.
No.
We just try to start our day off doing the best that we can and try not to hate ourselves and really, because lately I've been just trying to take this path of growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too.
I'm tired of hating myself. I'm tired of looking in the mirror and not seeing like what I'm seeing. So I'm really trying to be thoughtful about everything that I do. And like I said, for my friends that listen to the podcast, if you ever hear me just kind of go off and you'd be like, oh, Liz, you're not being thoughtful. I didn't say I was 100%. I said I'm in the process.
Oh, well, you're always in a process. No one is ever 100% perfect.
Exactly.
Like I find myself in situations, and I do apologize to our listeners. I'm a little sick, so I feel like I'm Fatty McGeehan or Flemmy in the microphone, so I apologize.
I love when she says Fleming.
Flemmy.
She does not have COVID, by the way, if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah, not the COVID.
No, but she is Flemmy.
I am Flemmy, and I apologize. So if you hear that on the uptake, I'm so sorry.
But at least you probably hear it nice and clear as opposed to our other audio.
That was horrible.
It really was. And we're so sorry, but I am not an IT person. I don't know how to fix it. I kept thought I should be able to fix it in editing, but clearly I just needed to pull out my purse and pay for some good equipment.
Yeah, well, it happens.
It does. So hopefully this podcast goes out wonderfully and it meets all of you guys and gives you eargasms. Eargasm.
That was a little bit much there, Liv.
I know it sounded sexual. It was supposed to be like ASMR, but yeah, it just
sounded very sexual. I felt like I was calling the phone sex.
The phone sex operator.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So anyway, guys, thank you as always for your listens. Thanks for sticking with us this week. Sometimes we fly off the cuff and just talk about whatever in the hell comes to our heads, which would be this week.
Yes, that would be this week. We had a whole plan, but it went a little left, but I think in a good way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So as always, please follow us, give us a review, interact with us, tell us what you want to hear, send us your phone number.
Yeah, send us your phone number. We'll have you on the show. We'll talk about some real shit in real life. What would Liv and Jay do?
Oh, gosh, I don't know if you need to know.
You probably don't need to know. We probably are not who you you need to call for advice.
Exactly. Yes.
But we'll give you some laughs, though. There's that.
There's that. All right, guys. Well, have a good week.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.